I don't personally see marketing in a silo. I think you can still drive a lot of growth if you're just looking at marketing in a silo. But I think where the crazy sustainable growth happens is by understanding all those other pieces of the business and
Mm, good
building
point.
marketing kind of around that.
Welcome back to Super Entrepreneurs Podcast. I'm your host, Shahid Durrani. Today, we have with us Jensen Savage. She's the founder of Savage Growth Partners. Jensen is a seasoned entrepreneur, growth strategist who has dedicated her career to helping businesses scale effectively. She offers tailored strategies to drive sustainable growth, focusing on aligning business operations with core values and market demands. Welcome to our show, Jensen.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
No, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. So, you have a reputation for building and scaling businesses strategically. Can you
Mhm.
share exactly what that means strategically? What does it entail? I got an idea from the bio, but if you could help us understand more, and also if you can share how you ended up in this world.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll dive into the strategy piece a little bit first.
Yeah.
So really what I mean when I say strategically is having the approach of looking at everything within a business, because business is an ecosystem. Each business is a little bit unique as far as, their profit margins, their market that they're operating in, the things that they're offering, their staff, everything's a little bit different. And so to be really strategic when it comes to marketing, you have to understand all of those different pieces within a business and how they tie into each other. And so we have to create a strategy that really meets a business where they are and drives growth based on those factors within a business. So instead of just trying to, drive leads or drive clicks, we're really looking at the whole process within a business and driving that bottom line. So that's kind of the difference in the
Mm.
way that we approach marketing versus a lot of other kind of agency style businesses that are out there. And as far as my kind of overall career trajectory and how I got to where I am. So, I obviously have a background in marketing. I got my start working in social media, doing kind of brand ambassador work and then more social media content, blog creation as well, that sort of thing. But from there, I really got exposed to the whole world of marketing and saw that there's just so much more out there to learn
Mm.
and do. And I got really into this idea of being able to drive growth for businesses. And so from there, I worked as a marketing director for several companies from fitness to finance, so kind of all within the service based space that I work in now. And I saw that I was able to spark crazy growth just by doing the right things with marketing. But I think also through that experience, I really got exposed to, like I said, ecosystem and how, if you align your marketing objectives with the rest of that ecosystem, how that is what really takes your marketing to the next level. So yeah, that's kind of the overall background on me in a nutshell.
No, that's cool. So can you share an example of that alignment?
Yeah, so I think there's a million different flavors that you could take it in. But for example, I work with one of the largest floor coating companies in the country, in America here, and they have franchises all across the country. And of course the products, services they offer are the same, but based on differences within the market, we're framing what they do differently and we're advertising differently and we have a different follow-up process. So I think that's a really good example of tweaking the way that we're marketing based on other things, other factors, whether internal or
Variables.
external. Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly.
Yeah. So it's a more holistic way of marketing, I guess, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you probably incorporate, the company's mission as well, and their values and the goals for the business all in one.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the big thing that sets us apart, because I don't personally see marketing in a silo. I think you can still drive a lot of growth if you're just looking at marketing in a silo, but I think where the crazy sustainable growth happens is by understanding all those other pieces of the business and
Good
building
point.
marketing kind of around that. Yeah, so it's supporting the rest of the business.
So, a lot of entrepreneurs or business owners struggle with alignment of their personal values, personal mission, if you may say, and actual business goals. So, can you share how you guide clients in integrating that authentically?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it is definitely a problem a lot of entrepreneurs face, even seasoned entrepreneurs. I think
Yeah.
it's something you're kind of always going back to the drawing board on and kind of taking inventory of if what you're doing in your business aligns with, your long-term goals, your long-term values. But that's definitely something that, for example, when we take in a new client, we're always discussing that, where do you see this business going 10 years down the road and why? Because a lot of the time it's deeper than just, I want to make more money. It's, I want to make an impact or I want to have freedom for my family. So really it's kind of meeting people where they are as far as what their long-term goals and values are. So, I mean, it's very individualized, and that's something even within my own business that I've kind of had to adjust to.
Makes sense. So, how do you help businesses identify and have their focus on something that's impactful for their growth without getting overwhelmed?
Yeah. So that's a great question. I'm actually really glad you asked that because this is something I'm very passionate about because I see it all the time in business owners. They get so excited about this new
Yeah.
channel or this new
Yeah.
tool or this new trend. And like you said, those things are absolutely important to leverage and pay attention to, but at the core of every single thing that you do are principles. And so that's something I try to impart in anybody I work with is kind of understanding, peeling back the layer and understanding why are we doing this? What are the levers that we're pulling psychologically with our marketing that make this work? Are we using Google reviews in a funnel that we create? Are we? And if so, why is that something that actually matters? It's, well, social proof. Humans are community-based creatures. We have herd mentality. We like to see that something else works for somebody else so that we can build that trust. So I think ultimately it's really understanding the core principles behind why something works instead of just that it works. Because then you can take those principles and you can apply them to any tactic or tool or trend that comes
Anything.
out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
No, I like
that's
that.
yeah, for me, that's the big thing is just having those foundational principles and being able to really adjust from there based on whatever changes the market may have in store for us.
And I also noticed, which is at home for me, is that you emphasize the importance of mindset in growth. Can you share some practices that maybe someone out there can get some help from you? Can you share any recommendations to business owners to cultivate the right mindset for business growth?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's something that over the past several years has kind of crystallized because before I had always looked at mindset related things like, yeah, whatever, get to the meat and the potatoes. Like I
Yeah.
want the tactics, I want the things that I can implement
Yeah.
today. But
That's so
it
common though.
sounds, yeah, absolutely. But, you know, ultimately your mindset is 100% the foundation. And once you have
Yes.
that on lock, everything else kind of comes from it. And I didn't realize that at first. And it wasn't something that I always thought it was, kind of just pie in the sky, fluff sort of things that people said to get you hyped up. But it's real. It's true. So
It's
basically,
real.
all
Yeah.
that to say, a huge believer in, you know, ultimately just kind of believing in yourself. It sounds crazy, but I think sometimes you almost have to be delusional in your belief about
Yes.
yourself
I agree.
and really see that, 10,000 foot view of where you want to be. And, 30 years down the line, where do you see yourself? And like, what do you need to do today to get there? Because if you're sitting there and you're an entrepreneur and you're starting out and maybe you haven't turned a profit yet in your business or you're really struggling to find a way to differentiate yourself in the market and you're just like, what am I doing? You're just wanting to throw in the towel, you're wanting to start from scratch. And when you're in that mindset and you're just feeling very, I guess, like walled in, it's so hard to project that ultimate future that you want to see for yourself, but it's a huge skill to learn that you just need to see it within yourself. Like, I already am a millionaire. I already have, a $10 million business or whatever it is. I just have to take the steps to get there. And
Yeah.
unless I take the steps to get there, I won't do it.
Yeah.
So I think it's just taking that accountability for your own actions, and also just having just unrestrained belief in yourself.
Yeah. Being and doing from the end, the energy of the end, from your goal actually accomplish. And you mentioned something really interesting about believing in yourself. And there is something very magical about that when we believe or when we have faith. And you'll see any religion, any culture, any place, the ones that have this undeniable faith, they just know they're going to make it. It doesn't matter all the hardships, whatever happens, they're just at it. They said, no, it's happening. The doors start opening for them, the ones that have the belief and have the faith, regardless of where it is. It could be self-belief, it could be in a higher power, whatever it is, but is that belief, that is that knowingness that I have faith, I'm going to make it. There's some power behind that faith. There's that energy. What that energy is, frequency. At the end of the day, is how we vibrate. It's our frequency that emits, that attracts. So by having that feeling is when you start achieving more, I find.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's actually kind of mind-boggling to see the changes that start to happen in your life when you do accept
Yeah.
that belief in yourself, or like you said, your business or whatever it is that drives
Yeah.
you. You start to
Yeah.
attract people that also believe in themselves
Yeah.
and believe in you.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
pretty crazy, like the circle of people that I'm
Amazing.
surrounded with now.
Yeah.
Since changing my own mindset, it's like I'm surrounded by incredible people that are
Yes.
cheering me
So
on at
true.
every turn and are doing
So true.
amazing things. So it's
Yeah.
it's absolutely true. It sounds
Yeah.
it sounds crazy, but it's just
Yeah.
once
It's
you
true.
do it, yeah.
You have to live it. You have to do it to experience it, right? And you are experiencing it. And, similar to me is the people that are showing up. Every meeting, every person that I'm interacting with, I'm looking at it that there's something that is connecting us. Like even us meeting, there's a reason behind it. We might not know what it is, but there's something behind us meeting. And that's very similar to how any of the relationships that I'm building, or anybody I'm meeting, or any partnerships, any business I'm doing with anybody, it is happening in the same way. You'll talk to them and they'll say, you know what, you're exactly what I was looking for. Or I would say, yeah, you were exactly what I was expecting. Thank you so much. You'll see those kind of feelings. Maybe you might not say it to the person. I'm very vocal. I say it, but some people might just feel it, but they don't say anything. But you'll experience it. And the people out there in the audience, if you've experienced something like that, please share in the comments in your experience in your business or life, that when you meet somebody, you say, oh man, and then even look at the path in the past of all the people that you've met and how they turned out. Were they in alignment to where you needed to go? Were they derailing you? And what happened in that meeting? How did you feel in that meeting, right? Because I feel that the feeling of a human being is guiding us. We have this guidance that when we feel abundant, we get abundant opportunities.
Yeah, and that was something I've actually spoken about on a different podcast. I think shifting from that mindset of coming from a place of lacking something versus, embracing that abundance and thinking,
Yeah.
why not me? Why can't I have these things? What
Yeah.
really sets me apart from all these other people I'm jealous of that have these things? And, more often than not, you'll find, well, they're probably not smarter. They probably aren't more well connected. They just believe in themselves and they don't stop. They are willing to do whatever it takes to get where they need to go, and they
Resilient.
show up every day. Yeah, they're very resilient.
Yeah, that's definitely, and that can be cultivated, and that's what mindset training is all about. Can I ask what happened in your life that you decided to invest in yourself to do mindset transformations?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think really pivotal point for me was working in roles within other people's companies and realizing that there was going to have to come a time that I was going to go off on my own and just completely trust myself, because all along I had this like burning desire that I wanted to build something that was mine. It wasn't any problem with my jobs or my employer or my role.
Yeah.
It was just I
Similar
had
to
this
me.
within me. And it was like, if I don't embrace this, I remember thinking this specifically. I was like, if I don't embrace this and like basically suck it up and do the scary thing, I will live my life in such a way where I'm 30 years down the road and I'm going to look back and be like, what could I have been if I would have just did it? And I would have just worked on myself. And,
Yes.
what do they say? Like a fear is a mile long and an inch deep sort of thing. So I was just like, I just got to, go for it and unlearn the behaviors and the thought patterns that I had that kind of kept me in the space of feeling like I had to be under somebody else's wing or under somebody else's company. So I think
Oh, that's
that was
good.
really kind of that was the turning point for me.
So did you actually go through a program to do the transformation?
No,
Self?
just all self-taught. I do read a lot of books though, so I
Okay,
kind of
good.
I like to take a lot of lessons away from
And you
the
put it in
different things that I
action.
read. Yeah.
Good,
That's
good. Well,
that's the big thing.
that's wonderful. I'm grateful to meet you and to see, experiencing the internal shifts and what it can do for your life. And the beautiful part is that there's no start or end or middle. You can start and then you make a commitment. As long as you continue it, you keep evolving. It never really stops. You think you made it. You say, okay, yeah, this is what they're talking about. This is what mindset's talking. But the more you work on it, the more you find out that it truly is. It just there's no end. You just keep going, and that's the beautiful part about it. And good that you look at it that way as well, because it is the foundation, it's the driving force of what you can achieve. Now, when it comes to company culture, how would company culture in your world, when you work with a company, integrated with the scalability that you're trying to inject into that organization? For example, if the company culture is a certain way and you're trying to scale it in a different way with a holistic view, there might be a collision there. There might be a misalignment. How do you go about to make shifts there then to make that a
Yeah.
success?
Yeah, that is an excellent question. And frankly, I think there's only so much you can do as an external force, because I'm a big proponent of accountability when it comes to your own business. You have to be, willing to accept change and be able to put the things that you're getting into action. And basically what I mean by that is, if as a marketer we can bring you 1 billion leads, it's up to you to then take them, close them, deliver with excellence, and
Yes.
then continue on from there. And so I can tell a business owner these things and they can say, yeah, whatever. Or they can accept it. And it's going to go one of two ways. They're either going to take that accountability and they're going to see exponential growth, or they're going to just say, yeah, whatever. And they will still get marketing results, because ultimately, usually if you're sending somebody a bunch of leads, they're going to experience growth to some degree pretty much regardless. But I've seen, firsthand the differences of people that are willing to take accountability for every piece of their puzzle. And we can really engineer something that makes sense. But it's like, in order to do that, you have to take accountability, because we can look at the numbers and say, we've got X leads. Here's your close rate. Here's your lifetime value. And we can look at these numbers and start to build kind of a narrative around that. But if we're telling you, your close rate's 10% and these are great leads, so something's off here, and you go, oh, no, it's got to be the marketing. It's like, that's a limiting belief that only you as a business owner can really break through. And so kind of all that to say, really, it just comes down to the business owner. And there ultimately have been, businesses that I've worked with that just aren't a good fit for a long-term partnership for that reason, because it's like, ultimately, if you can't take accountability, you can't drive growth no matter what you do.
Yeah, accountability and openness to change, because if they're strict about a specific way of doing business, then it's really hard to work with them.
Yeah, 100%. I think you have to be willing to accept change and implement changes radically all the time.
Yeah. Can you share any strategies, any tips on how a small business can compete with larger corporations when it comes to customer engagement?
So I think if you're talking about customer engagement,
Let me clarify. Some of the larger corporations, you'll see the customers are engaging more with the brand, with their social media, with their overall offering. Right? They're participating. And a small business sees that and they might say, well, how can I get there? Is there anything that you could share that could help a small business to get to that level of innovation and customer engagement?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I think if you're talking about customer engagement in that way, building a culture and a community surrounding your small business and whatever it is you offer is a great way to get there. For example, I worked with a fitness company and we had a Facebook group of people, and it was all about, their transformations, their mindset shifts. They're sharing recipes with each other, they're cheering each other on. And so not only were people more engaged online, but people were more likely to, stay with the fitness center longer because they feel this sense of belonging. There's this whole kind of ecosystem surrounding the business
Smart.
that's not just, you pay for this, you come, you work out, you go home. It's like, no, I have friends here. I feel supported. I have all
Yeah.
these resources coming in. So I think a big thing, like I mentioned earlier, humans are very community based. So if you can build
Yeah.
some sort of community or ecosystem where people feel a sense of belonging and attachment to your brand, I think that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, and that's such a great idea. A fitness gym, having a private group, that will just make people feel more at home, like a family.
Yeah, yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely. Especially because fitness is one of those things that it's kind of a intimidating journey, especially if you're just entering it. And we had a huge part of our audience was middle-aged women who maybe had never worked out or worked out 30 years ago. They're trying to lose all this weight. They have no idea how to eat right, and so being able to cultivate that sense of community was incredible to see how much confidence it inspired in people. And it was just, it's just really great to see how much other people can lift each other up within a community like that.
Yeah, it's great. Well, let me tell you, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I like the flow of the information, your answers, your wisdom when it comes to business growth. Definitely, I'll wish you all the best in what you're doing and definitely keep in touch.